Hi everyone, this is Jessica Bradley Rushing and I am here with a recap from the Board of Selectmen's meeting from tonight, November 26th, 2019. The first item on our agenda was a project update from the Bog Restoration. This is an ongoing project that's taking place over on Valley Street and has been going on for several years. It is a privately owned parcel that is zoned 61A, which is a federal designation for agricultural space. There are currently a couple different projects taking place on the property that began under the current owner's husband several years ago, who has since passed away, and his wife has carried on the projects that he started back then. There are a couple of cranberry bogs on the property that are being renovated and restored, and the update tonight was to let us know that they are transferring some ocean spray certificates from other bogs that they own in Kingston over to these bogs in Pembroke as part of the restoration. There are a couple other projects that take place on that site as well. The owner has contracted with a logging company called Phillips that brings in trees that have been cut down in the local area, other towns, surrounding towns like Duxbury, Kingston, Pembroke, and those are chipped into wood chips and sold. They also sell gravel from the property to PA Landers, which is the company that is doing the bog restoration. And they also offer some space to a landscaper that uses some of the space for compost. All of these uses are permissible under agricultural zoning laws. However, there is a lot of truck traffic as a result of these projects that is an issue for the abutters and neighbors in that area. It is completely understandable that that would be an issue. Unfortunately, the project is slated to last probably another 2 to 2.5 years, and in that time, there is probably going to be a similar amount of truck traffic going forward as there has been over the past few years. We did hear some concerns from some of the abutters, though, that the town manager is going to follow up on to get some additional details, because we didn't have the exact information to answer the questions, including whether the residents in town have the right to see the work permits, whether those permits have to be renewed annually, and whether there is oversight into who can go in and do work on that land. So that is something that the town manager is going to follow up on, and when I hear the update from that, I will let you guys know. We then moved on to a board action item. The town manager brought forward a statement that we are going to be doing a pilot implementation of a paperless materials program for the Board of Selectmen. So right now, whenever we have a board meeting, we get a packet of information that includes our agenda and any meeting materials that are associated with the items on the agenda. So tonight, this was the packet of material that I got. This was actually a relatively light meeting. I usually get probably 2 to 3 times this much paperwork for a single meeting. So instead of using paper for the meetings, this project would provide iPads to the selectmen, and the meeting materials would be loaded onto the iPads in order to prevent so much paper from being used. There was a little bit of a disagreement among some of the members of the board as to whether this was a worthwhile project. I personally think that this is a great step for the town to take, not only because of the amount of paper that it will save, but also because one of the things that we constantly discuss is the modernization of our town government. This certainly is a way to move forward in modernizing the way that we do business. Right now, for example, I do not have a town email account. The reason that I don't have a town email account is because I've been told that it would be difficult for me to securely access that email from a non-town, non-secure device. So right now, all of the town business that I conduct as a select woman is done on my personal email account, which is actually not a good business practice at all. Moving to this paperless program would enable us to have town emails assigned to each of the board members, which would also make it easier for constituents to get in touch with us. If there's someone in town who wants to speak directly to me instead of just sending an email into the general selectmen email inbox, which is then distributed, that makes it easier for people. So I think this is actually a great step forward, and we are waiting for some information from town council, and we'll move forward on that in the next few meetings. And I'm strongly in favor of it. We also voted in the meetings from November 19th, and then we voted to renew a whole bunch of licenses for 2020 for new auto dealers, used auto dealers, class 1 and 2 for taxi and precious metal licenses. So we approved all of those. The town manager report was that the Herring Run Park project is nearing completion. There were a couple delays because of the weather this weekend, but by the end of next week, that work should be finished. And the work that is being done there is installing a water wheel and a fish ladder, but it is also part 1 of an ADA compliance project. So it is enabling handicapped and disabled access to parts of the Herring Run Park. This is part 1 of that ADA compliance project, and part 2 will be starting in the spring. We also want to announce that on Thursday, December 5th, there is a Community Center Task Force Forum at the Community Center at 7 p.m. on Thursday, December 5th to get public input on what we might want to see in a potential new community center if that is something that we're going to move forward on as a town. I cannot stress enough how important it is for town residents to come out to these public forums and provide input to the architect who is managing the project. Because without your input, we have less of an ability to ensure that any project that we do propose has what people in town are hoping to see. Again, it is Thursday, December 5th, at the community center at 7 p.m. Please come out and make your voice heard, because if you don't come out and provide input and then the community center project goes through and there's stuff missing that you wished you could have seen in that building, then you will have missed your opportunity to have provided that information. This is your chance. Please come out. Involvement is very important, and the more people whose input we get, the better the project will be. That was our whole meeting for tonight. Our next meeting will take place next Tuesday, December 3rd. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much and have a good night.